You there, Vince? Okay then. Keeps coming up, he's unavailable. Okay, let me hit him up.
Bloody Telstra in Melbourne.
Right?
Another reason not to live there.
That shithole. As he would say about Sydney.
I don't know, we'll just keep baiting him and he'll eventually just pop up and go, you flocks.
You've got his mannerisms down. Minisode.
Watch out! Here it comes. Watch out! Here it comes. Watch out! Here it comes. Watch out!
Shut up, Wayno.
Would you just listen to me, you pongo?
Ringing. Answering.
Yeah. We got him. Shut the fuck up.
We were close.
That's our guy. What's happening, gents?
We missed you too, buddy.
Bullshit.
Awesome.
So what do we have to talk about? What are we up to? We're up to
Well, we've got our NBA Finals Friday. Game 1, Golden State, Toronto, of course. Vince, I got to hand it to you.
Yeah, I was pretty happy.
You were pretty happy. Oh, my God. You were waiting for the downfall of the Portland Trail Blazers like a fat kid was waiting for his birthday cake. Let me tell you.
I told you. I told you I was just a series off, that's all. But I knew it was going to happen at some stage.
Well, look, let's what we're talking about. Let's jump into Portland season. Obviously, they got swept by the Golden State Warriors. I mean, a pretty good run by them, all things considered.
Yeah, mate. No one can deny that. Like they stuck it out. They had Nurkic go down before the playoffs. They had Kanter being played into the rotation and then playing massive minutes on a huge injury. Mm-hmm. And they just gritted it out. I still think, and to anyone listening who watched that series, yeah, it was a sweep. But some of those games, they could have gone either way. A sweep's a sweep, but
Benson, you said it last week. If your grandmother had wheels, she'd be a bike. They got swept.
I don't think you said that, but
well, you said something similar to that.
I'll take your point.
It was similar.
Jesus Christ!
Oh, that could be our next thing. Every week we come up with a different version of that.
Jesus Christ! Don't encourage me. There was definitely like 3 games of that series they were in, had leads, but just Golden State, too much power. Oh, man. Just CJ, I don't know, man. Like, they're about to throw big money at Damian Lillard to keep him around for a long, long time. Is it 146 or something like that? 46 mil or something like that?
I thought it was more. It's
more. You're probably right. Two things. When the reports started coming out of Lillard having the rib injury, I was just my first thought was, don't start making excuses. Like, don't start making excuses now. Like, because those guys, that team, just like they gave it everything they had, right? Like they on one leg and just gave it everything they had. You can't, unless you're Vince, you can't be mad at this team. Like they just gave it all. They just got outgunned. They got outpowered and. I totally forgot where I was going with this. Excellent. I had a point.
Shit.
I had a point, but I lost it.
Mate, Portland fans, especially the ones who hate the Lakers, get what you deserve.
I feel like you're taking it out on the team, this team, though. Like, did you not enjoy any Portland games?
Nope.
Wow.
I hate seeing them.
Who are you hanging around? What Portland fans are you hanging around that have, like...
Oh, I worked with one for years. It's little Fanta pants, Camp Crips.
I just feel like you're missing out on some pretty good basketball, man, by just like this hate. this hate in you, mate.
Mate, I got to watch Alex Caruso run the show. I didn't miss any good basketball.
Oh, boy.
He was balling.
That was my point I was getting to. It was like, with the excuses stuff. And then, of course, we touched on the deal that's about to go down. Look, nothing's been signed or anything like that yet. I just wonder if Lillard is going to take the deal, or at least take the deal in full, because I feel like he's a smart enough guy to kind of realize that if he takes a deal that big, I mean, are they going to be able to afford to bring him in help? Like, I don't know how long it's stretched out for. Is it 5 years, maybe 4 or 5 years? I think it's a 4-year deal. But even still, surely, I just feel like if he doesn't take a little less, they're back at square one. Like, yes, the team looks great going to, coming out of this season, considering the injuries we touched on. Even if those guys come back and are all healthy, I mean, it definitely strengthens this squad, but still feel like this squad is just missing something. Like, it's just missing a piece to sort of tip them a little bit.
Yeah, I don't understand why. And it's easy for us to say, I guess we're not being offered the money, but if an owner or if the GM says, look, I'm going to give you 120 mil, you're going to really need 120 mil. Like, drop it down to 100 and say, look, I want to get some help. If I'm going to stay, I want a chance to win. Let's get some help. Even if you drop it down to 90. But, gee whiz, I'd be doing that. Well, I'd say I would be. But put 120 in front of me, I don't know. Just try and get some help. Because that's the problem. You sign this massive deal and then you're hamstrung.
Well, and we've seen it. We've seen it in years past with franchise players doing that exact thing. Yeah. Look, let's jump to the West Coast quickly and just sum up. The East Coast rather, and just sum up this Bucks-Toronto series. Toronto, of course, that comeback in Game 6 was just amazing to watch. As much as I'm over Drake, the Toronto crowd and them celebrating was fantastic to see. And man, I don't want to say Bucks fell apart.
Oh, they kind of did. Game
6, they kind of fell apart, though, right? I mean, you're up 2 games. I don't know, man. I just, we spoke about last show about, I spoke rather last show about, teams earning their scars in the league, and I just feel like this is a tough one for the Bucks to swallow. I think this will sting a lot this off-season, and hopefully they come back bigger and better next year.
I'm not going to apologise to Kyle Lowry.
Oh.
But I'll say this, he did perform a smidge better.
He was huge.
Yeah.
And boy, oh boy, they're going to need that in the finals.
Yeah.
No, but you're right, though. He was a massive difference maker. They do not beat the Milwaukee Bucks 4 games in a row, which nobody beat. The Milwaukee Bucks didn't lose twice in a row the whole season, and the Raptors beat these guys 4 times in a row. And Lowry was huge in this series. In a series where they probably needed more from Siakam, needed more from Gasol, they got it from the guy who admittedly is paid to bring it, but he hadn't been. And he stepped up. He really, he really got him through. So credit to him. As much as we've ragged on him, he balled out.
And I've got another interesting stat here. Have you heard about the Fred Van Fleet stat?
Does anybody about the before his child was born?
Oh, don't spoil it, Benson, you witch flog.
Look that out and we'll go, no, tell us more, Vince.
Okay, well, here's the deets. Prior to his son's birth, 15 games, 4 points a game, 26% from the field, 8 of 41 from 3-point land, 20%.
Ouch.
After son's birth, 3 games, 16 a game, 68% from the floor, a healthy 14 of 17 from the 3-point land, 82%.
Wow. If he can
goodness me.
If he can
this guy should be pumping out kids.
Dude, he should have twins next round and fucking finals MVP.
He should be on the workbench post haste.
I'm shocked. I didn't know any of that at all, Vince. So thank you for bringing that up.
Enlighten me.
Yeah, no worries, Stu. I'm happy to bring that to your attention.
I'm still doing the shock thing, or are we over that? But
no. Now you can just go, just add a little bit of something to it. Give me something, Vince.
I'll tell you what. That's what Nick Nurse was saying in the huddle to Siakam. Give me something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He was just having a difficult series. They weren't giving him, that sort of baseline area that he likes to work in. They took it away from him, but I'll tell you what, they had no answer for Kawhi. Kawhi was very ball dominant. I mean, I'd love to see the stats on how much of every possession he held the ball. It was almost LeBron-esque that he was holding it a lot, but man, he got the job done.
I mean, that's kind of that thing, though, about just demanding the ball, right? It's like this is kind of that. I mean, I don't want to say the Jordan factor or the Kobe factor, or it's definitely something we've sort of criticized LeBron, in the past about him just wanting that moment, and I don't know. I kind of felt like that a bit. I have to admit, I kind of felt like that. Watching the game live, to some extent, it didn't even feel like he was overshooting, or it was just the offense was going. The offense was just running through him, and he was demanding it. And it's kind of that thing, kind of like a little bit like Lowry that we saw early in this series. It's like, although the scoring wasn't there, there's a lot to be said for making your presence felt in the game. He was racking up the assists, grabbing the boards, making steals, hustle D, doing all those other little things. And man, I don't know, I just walk away from that series, that Bucks-Raptors series, and I just sort of think, man, the Claw just had his fingerprints all over this series.
Yeah, you know who had their fingerprints all over it?
Uh-oh.
It was Nick Nurse.
Yeah.
Coach Bud got out-coached.
I'm surprised by that.
He got out-coached. Honestly, their strategy in forcing Giannis into his spin and doubling down on it is what the Celtics did for the first game when they blew out Milwaukee.
Yeah.
In the first game, they did. Brad Stevens and the team did exactly what Nurse did for 4 straight games. And I don't know why the Celtics stopped doing it, but it just works, and it worked. And Giannis is going to have to go back to the lab and get better. Yeah. And he's going to have to work on his mid and work on his 3 and test these defensive schemes a little bit better, because he just, particularly in games 5 and 6, just went into this autopilot mode, but it was not working. And I genuinely think that the coaching in that series was a huge factor and a massive credit to Nurse. But I'm a fanboy, but he out-coached Coach Bud.
Can I ask a question? I don't know if I just thought it was weird. Game 6, man, if you're the Bucks, everything's on the line. Why did Coach Bud pull Giannis out in the 4th?
Well, he subbed himself out after he hit his ankle on that full court set, but then he left him out. I mean,
yeah, just fuck, this is your season on the line right now. Even if you're tanked and you need a friggin' IV after the game, play it out. You got to play this out.
That irks me. Honestly, if that was a game 6 of a knockout game, no shit. I reckon Kobe would have come back on if he'd have done his Achilles. It was that sort of I don't know, man. It was a high ankle roll, and he was walking after it, and then he sat on the bench for 2 plays.
Yeah, I just thought it was weird, man. I just thought, man, this is 4th quarter, game 6. Toronto have all the momentum, and your best player sitting on the bench. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Strap that shit, get back out there, deal with everything else afterwards.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know. Was he confident? Did he think they'd get the win and there'd be a game 7 and he was resting himself? I mean, at that stage, they were behind. That was a huge question mark. But
you got to leave it all on the court, you can't.
I agree. But
anyway, Milwaukee, look, a little bit disappointed. I don't know. I know we all picked Milwaukee to win this series, but I'm not disappointed. I'm not disappointed. I'm kind of super happy for Raptors fans. It's they've got a tough series coming up now, but hey, they're in the NBA Finals. That's pretty damn cool.
Hey, they've got 49 American states and all of Canada going for them.
Yeah, pretty much. Right? Well, look, let's get into it. The NBA Finals, man, this Friday, I cannot wait. I think it's 11 o'clock Australian time, I want to say. Australian Eastern Time? Man, I wish I had that day off. Game 1. Well, look, let's get some thoughts and some predictions, guys. Vince, you want to go first?
Yeah, look, I've been giving a lot of thought since the matchup was set. I still don't know who to pick. It's really tough. Thinking of Toronto, they've got Kawhi, and he nearly tips the scales for me because of all the injuries that the Warriors have. But then you just can't count them out, the Warriors. And I know DeMarcus might be back, although not 100%.
KD's out game 1.
KD's out for game 1. Is he going to be back for any games? Then I'm thinking Toronto's got home court, but I just keep coming back to you just can't count out the Warriors. I just keep coming back to that no matter what comes into my head. So I think I'm going to go Warriors. I think it's going to go... Gee whiz. I don't know how it's going to go, but the other thing, I just keep coming back to Drake. He's such a wanker of a bloke.
You can't be dissing a champagne puppy.
Vince, don't hold back, man. Don't hold back.
You know when your wanker meter just goes off, you just got to look at someone and go, "You're a wanker." I can just tell you're a wanker just by your face. And I get that with Drake, and I can't go through life seeing him happy. And if they win the finals, he's going to be happy, so I've got to go for the Warriors.
Tell us how you really feel about Drake, Vince.
I thought I just did.
I feel like you're holding back.
If they do manage to give that wanker some happiness, at least at least Marc Gasol gets a ring. That's the only silver lining I can get. But I'm going to have to go for the Warriors. You can't count them out. I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts on the matchups with now that Durant's out, because I thought Leonard would take Durant. I'm keen to hear Benson's thoughts more than yours, Wayne.
That's fair. That's fair.
So,
Stu.
Yeah, go right ahead, Stu.
You go first, Stu, and I'll give Vince.
We have a new host. Would you like me to go?
Sure, hey, let's give the people what they want. And by people, I mean Vince.
All right, so today I had a feeling, but I double-checked, and then just before we started recording, I saw a meme, well, not a meme, an image that was the head-to-head during the season, and Toronto won both regular season games against Golden State and pretty handily as well.
One of those games they won without Kawhi, and I'm pretty sure in Golden State as well, and I'm pretty sure our boy Siakam played pretty well against Golden State.
Yeah, and I'd imagine he would.
I'm pretty sure he was the top scorer at both games.
Yeah, okay, well, that probably wouldn't surprise me given the matchups. I think the matchups are going to be, obviously that sounds like a doofus thing to say because it is a game of matchups, but it is going to be interesting though. I mean, I think Kawhi will spend a bit of time trapping and coming up high on Tristan Thompson and is going to give him hell. I think Steph is going to have another big series. I just think he's on a momentum sort of a run at the moment. His confidence is high, and it's a bit of a I don't know. It seems like a bit of a chip on the shoulder, like you've forgotten about me. Like it's like he's not coming out and saying it's his team because he wants Durant to stay, and I genuinely think he does. But I think it's a little bit. I think he might feel a bit slept on, and I called it. I think either the last show or the show before, I have to go back and listen. That I thought Steph was going to have a huge Portland series, and he did. Yeah, and I think that momentum is going to carry through. So I expect him to lead all teams in scoring for consecutive games, but. Kawhi is just, look, they're going to throw Iggy at him. They're going to throw Thompson at him. They're going to throw Biggs at him. I just think he's going to have a massive series as well. Man, I don't know. I really want Toronto to win. I'm worried that if I pick him, I'll jinx him. And I think you kind of get Stockholm syndrome, when you just start to sympathise with your captors and, were it not for Draymond getting suspended and, the Cavs coming back from 3-1 down, this is what we'll be looking at now, 5 in a row for these guys. Yeah. It's a dynasty. They are a team for the history books, for the ages. I want them to be beaten. So I'm going to pick Toronto.
Wow, interesting. Okay. Well, you touched on a lot of points I had as well. I'm a bit like Vince. I'm a bit torn. I keep going one side to the other. Obviously, I looked at the same thing as far as like the matchups through the regular season because I do you can't take that as gospel because we're going into a 7-game series, but you can definitely get some hints of what to expect. For me, the X factor for Golden State is Draymond Green. And the problem with Green against Toronto is the length of Toronto. Now, we've definitely hit this, Green definitely hit his strides that Portland series, and we, kind of got him playing himself into shape, and we got playoff Draymond finally. And he was spectacular that Portland series. All 4 games, like he was great. And you're like, wow. Sometimes you just take him for granted and forget how quickly he can affect a game, a series. You know, when Steph isn't quite gunning or Clay isn't quite hitting. I just worry about the length. I know he's a hustler and he's going to get points and rebounds, but I just think the length is really going to hurt him. I'm really interested to see if Kawhi steps up on Steph Curry, even if it's for parts. We've seen him in San Antonio, you know, take on those sort of duties, whether it be 1 through to 4. Like he's prepared to do that. He's long. He's a great defender. He's a great all-round player, and I'm really interested to see how that pans out. I think we're definitely going to see some Kawhi on Steph Curry.
I think so too. 100%.
Yeah. I'm just wondering about injuries for Golden State. I mean, they're pretty well rested now, but are we going to see more of Bogut this series? You know, Durant, I think we won't see till game 2. But I don't think, maybe we might even see him till game 3 if Golden State get that first win. I'm interested to see how hurt Iguodala is, because I feel like he could be a pretty big factor in this series, because he hurt his shoulder, I believe, in that Portland series.
I thought he hyperextended his knee.
Well, he flipped off the camera. Or was it his knee? I thought it was his shoulder, but okay, I'm probably wrong. But did you see the clip of him flipping off the camera, walking back to the change room?
No.
And that was kind of like, I just kind of thought to myself, that's a pretty big reaction to what they're playing off as a small injury. Maybe he just didn't want the camera in his face at the time, but I just sort of thought, I wonder how serious this is for Iggy, because they're going to need him this Toronto series.
I think when you mention injuries, Kawhi is obviously carrying something. Now, I don't know if it's a recurrence of his issue that he had in San Antonio, whether it be the quad or the groin or up in that area, but Game 5, he was very ginger in his movement, and Game 6, whilst he started better, he finished just slow, like almost walking up and down the court, and was demanding the ball off the inbounds so that he can control the tempo. He's definitely not 100%. I know in interviews they were asking him about it. He just said, you know, much like you said about Giannis, you just play. You've got the off-season, you get over it. It's the playoffs, everybody's hurting. But you can tell that physically he's got a weird sort of limp in his gait, and he's not 100%.
Yeah, look, I don't think
someone said that he grabbed at his quad a lot more than usual.
Right.
So, I mean, I didn't notice that, but I'm like, it's interesting if you go back and have a look. But apparently that quad has been bothering him since 2016. Like, what is the go with it?
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get in the whole San Antonio thing.
No, but like, if that's the case, like, is it ever going to be 100%? Like, I don't know, interesting, I guess.
In saying that, he found a way to play through it, you know, in that Bucks series. So, like we said, he wasn't.
Well, you've got to, don't you? So.
Well, yeah, like he wasn't relaxed off the ball. Like we said, he was so dominant on the ball all series. So he found a way. I took that thigh injury as like more like a tweak than anything. You know, discomfort, right. But not Giannis got to sit out 4th. Like, yeah, look, I've got Toronto winning the series. I'm with Stu on this one. I've gone back and forth. Look, I'm not going to be disappointed if Warriors win this, though. I don't have any real. I don't hate either team. I'm not a Warriors hater. I appreciate them for what they are. I think as I've grown and gotten older watching NBA, I've really come to appreciate like dynasties, like you said, Stu.
Yeah,
you know, like I hated the Lakers. I hated the Lakers three-peat. Like I fucking couldn't stand it. But in saying that, you know, now looking back at it and watching the tape and watching those games, like I have a real like appreciation for what they did at that time. But you know, during it, I was just like, man, fucking come on, like. But so I have a bit of appreciation for the Warriors.
Such a hater.
Oh fuck yeah! I hated LA back in the day. Then.
And also, it's in Australia. It's Dynasty.
Dynasty, sorry. But in saying that, you know what? I also really look forward to teams getting their first chip, you know, and like the Lakers when they lost that series to Detroit. I know it wasn't their first chip ever, but like to break the dynasty, I just feel like dynasties are great because eventually dynasties get beaten. They fall apart.
Are you just purposely saying dynasty like every second word?
Just to annoy Vince, yeah. because he pointed it out. So I'm back in.
You're up there with Drake.
Hey, started from the bottom. Now I'm here. Hey, yeah. So I'm picking the Raptors, man. I'm picking the Raptors to win this. I know a lot of analysts online are calling the Warriors. I'm gonna mop them, but I think,
yeah, man, we are in the minority, and I don't mind. I don't mind because if it does happen, we'll seem like fucking geniuses. But
yeah.
I think we're probably the only two people on the planet.
That's fine. I'll take it. Dude, I've said worse this year. Come on.
The thing is, though, I don't hate the Raptors either, and they're a hell of a team. I honestly, I've picked the Warriors, but with no confidence.
Yeah.
And if I'd say the same if I picked the Raptors. I'm picking them with no confidence. This is what I thought of today. I think the Warriors might go in there and just pinch game one. We know Kawhi's been there, and we know Gasol's been in big games, but the rest of them, and Lowry has too, I guess, but and Serge, but the rest of them.
Stop reading the list. You're going to get exposed.
Don't mind being
all right,
exposed.
so they've all been there.
Yeah, well, stuff it. They've all been there, but I think the Warriors might pinch game one just on the some of the youngsters being a bit nervous or just a bit in awe of the moment. I don't know. I'm picking this with no confidence. It's going to be a hell of a series.
Look, we know what these guys are capable of individually, and they know NBA Finals basketball. If they get 3 All-Stars instead of 5, no one's feeling sorry for them. They can win this thing with playoff Draymond, playoff Clay, playoff Steph, and contributions from Looney, from Bogut, from Iguodala. They've got enough personnel to sweep. They do. This Toronto team has just proven that they match up, that they're well coached, they've got length, and they believe in themselves. So there's plenty of X factor.
Can I just say, there was a lot of journos that were questioning, and I'll tell you, it was Bill Simmons is one of them. He's one of the worst.
Come on, Bill. Come on.
Although not only do you steal our content, but allegedly. But fuck, I like him, don't get me wrong, but he gives shit sometimes. But he was one of the ones, along with many others, saying, I don't know if I'd pay Draymond, he's on the decline and that. He's just proving how much he's sacrificed for Kevin Durant. So the minute Durant went down, he turned it back on. And he's not getting enough credit for it. It's just he's just starting to play well. No, he's always had it. He's just sacrificed.
But I think
he's got rings to prove it.
Yeah, I think that whole team does. Do you know, like that? And that's
for sure.
That's the beauty of him.
For sure, but no one says Clay's on the decline. It says, Draymond's on the decline. He's not. He's still got it.
Yeah, 100%.
Just doesn't get enough credit.
I loved Marc Gasol shouting out ex-Grizzlies players. I was like, that's fucking cool. That's what a fucking cool guy. Didn't have to do that,
It is pretty cool seeing him in the NBA Finals, I've got to admit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
All I know is that game one, that Toronto crowd is going to be freaking loud, man.
Yeah.
Woo. I did have something else I wanted to say about Toronto, but it's forgotten. This old age, man.
Is it any
kicking in?
No more Drake lyrics?
Hey, what's the temperature up there today?
I thought it was pretty good today, actually.
You know what the temperature is here right now? 5 degrees.
Jesus. It's still raining?
Just stopped.
Wow.
I'm moving to Queensland.
That's what I was going to say. Just, I think it's pretty evident that Kawhi's gone after this season from Toronto. And I'm just going to say, I think that is it's almost like if you're a Toronto fan, you can't even be mad really at him because...
Oh, yes, you can.
Can you though? Because, they're in a pretty good position, even if he goes. If he leaves, right? Just hear me out, right? So
no, because it's shit.
No. Look, if he leaves, right, he's taken that franchise as far as they're going to go. It's the perfect excuse for a rebuild.
Yeah, but if they win it and he leaves, they're going to go, you asshole. Yes, this is great.
What a farewell present.
We should defend it together. And he's going to go, nah, I'm off.
I think he's gone regardless.
I think if they win it, he stays.
Really? I don't think so. I think it's the perfect farewell gift to him. It's like, there you go, Toronto. See you later.
Well, I disagree.
Well, look, it's okay to be wrong every now and then. It's fine.
As long as I'm right about Portland getting swept, I'm happy.
I don't know.
Where does he go?
I don't know how. He goes to the Clippers, man.
Oh, piss off, Wayne. He's not going to the Clippers.
Hey, actually, I've got a question. I want to know because I just want to know. So, Lakers and Clippers play in the same stadium, correct?
Yeah, the Clippers play at our stadium, yep.
Where are the offices for both teams? Are they on like opposite ends of the stadium, or do they share and have to clear out all their stuff end of the day, or do they just like?
You ever heard of the boiler room?
No, does Jeannie Buss run into like Jerry West's office in the Clippers and pinch information off his desk? Like, I don't know how it works.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. They've got tables with petitions, and Frank Vogel's on one side, and he passes notes over to Doc Rivers.
Red tape down the middle of the office. That's the Lakers side.
Stay on your side.
Anytime Jenny Buss wants to burst into my office, she's more than welcome.
Oh boy. No, do you guys actually know? I actually was thinking about that. I was like, I actually don't know how that setup works.
No, I get distracted by looking at all the championship banners, so I don't take any notice.
Stu, do you have a serious answer for me? Or
No, mate, I genuinely have no idea. I imagine there's a purpose-built building next to it that I believe forms part of the offices. So we've probably got the 16th floor, and they've probably got the basement.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know. Never given it much thought. Try not to think of the Clippers. I don't think. I don't know why Kawhi'd go there.
Well, look, we should talk about some big news that happened in our NBL league.
Yes,
and more to come apparently.
Really,
more to come.
So Carmelo Anthony isn't signing with the Breakers.
And he won't be. He won't be signing with anyone, I don't think.
None of the Ball brothers signed in the NBL.
That's coming.
Yet.
Mark my words.
You reckon?
I think so too.
But look, Stu broke the news on the Courtside Facebook page just the other day about the consensus NBA class of 2020, was it?
Yeah. So he would have been eligible for 2019 class for college next season as a freshman, and he's going to forgo that and get some professional hoops under his belt before declaring.
RJ Hampton, pretty big, man. I think I commented as well. It only takes one trailblazer. Do you know what I mean? Like, it only takes one guy to make a big move like this to open kind of the floodgates. So I'm really happy for that.
That was Terrence Ferguson.
Well, but he wasn't recruited. He wasn't recruited this highly.
No, he wasn't.
So I think this is good, man. I think this is really good. And I actually liked what he had to say. You know, like he basically was like, look, it's always been my dream to go to the next level, to play NBA, not to play college. So for him, this is an easy decision because he gets to earn a decent paycheck, gets to travel, gets to come to Australia, gets to play against world-class athletes.
Look, I think it's a good decision. I liked what he said in his press conference. It's kind of like it's Brandon Jennings, if we think back to...
Yep.
Jennings was, I want to say the 2009 draft. I can't remember. But yeah, I mean, look, it's got shades of that. I totally get it. And he said, look, I never saw myself as a book and baller. Like, I never saw myself going to college and juggling class. I just want to play basketball. And, I respect that. That's why Adam Silver's going to abolish it, and that's why it's going to open the gate. And he's probably just a year too early, and had he have been born, a year later, he wouldn't have had to have done this. But it's going to be good for his development. The kid's an absolute star. If you're listening to the podcast and you haven't checked out his YouTube clips, he is a baller. Like, it's not just hype. The kid is going to be good. There's something you can just, I don't know. When you look back at tapes of like Kobe and Kevin Garnett when they were in high school, and they just had this look about him and this smirk and this knowingness. He's got it.
Can I just say, I saw some Americans on Twitter just going, why the fuck are we going to play in the NBL? Our league is a bloody legit league. Like,
it's come a long way.
We have so many good players in this league. Yeah, American imports can't come here and just think they're coming on a holiday. Like, they'll get eaten alive. It's such a good league.
Yeah,
I went to so many games this year, and the quality of basketball is outstanding.
Although, I'll tell you, Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson have a hard time believing that Andrew Bogut was our Defensive Player of the Year. Because he gets out and he's got his knees bandaged up and he lumbers up and down the court. And they make so, here comes the NBL, I think it is, the Defensive Player of the Year, Andrew Bogut. I'm just like, oh.
Well, did they not realise it was in his contract? So, hello.
I actually like Vince, I haven't been the biggest NBL fan over the past few years. Just because I've been burnt in the past with the NBL, but it's definitely like...
Yeah, no, I totally understand, mate. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, like it's definitely at least like the last 2 years, I've definitely like found myself watching NBL games and just going, man, this is really good. And the level of talent has just jumped up. Like it hasn't just been where in the past 10, 15 years ago, it'd be literally like, 2 good players on the squad and it'd be like, just such a rough grind to get through. It's definitely come like leaps and bounds. I like the fact that NBL, I feel like at least they're not fighting the NBA anymore or trying to fight the NBA. Like they're open to letting their players make that jump like Bogut this year. I like the fact they're open to that. That's fantastic because that just feeds more positivity to our league. And the NBA, like, I like the fact that, we've spoken before, everyone's spoken about how screwed over college players have been as far as, like, these big schools making money off these kids and them still, fighting for meals every week. But I like the fact that there's now different avenues for players to get to the league. Like, in the NBA Finals this year, I think I read today, there's 16 players in this year's NBA Finals that played in the G League.
Wow.
That's pretty damn cool, right?
Here it comes. Watch out! Here it comes. Watch out! Here it comes. Watch out!
Ball.